Thank you for joining us in another episode of the Finance Magnets Blockchain Podcast. Today's guest is Louis, joining us from Singapore. Good to have you, Louis.
Thank you, Avi. Thanks for having me.
Would you please briefly introduce your project to our audience?
Right. So I'm a co-founder of KyberNetwork. So KyberNetwork is a new exchange, new cryptocurrency exchange, which can offer several good properties at the same time. So first of all, it is totally decentralized and trustless. So that means, users, they don't have to trust us, right? And they don't have to deposit their coins whenever they trade, and there's no potential security breach at all. So KyberNetwork differs from existing decentralized exchange in a way that it is fairly easy and fast to use. So that means every time you want to trade, you just send only a single transaction to the blockchain, and you will get back your converted tokens or cryptocurrency immediately. So this is much faster than centralized exchanges and other decentralized exchanges as well.
I see. So if you can explain for a somebody who's familiar with a stock exchange, how would a decentralized exchange work? Because for people outside the cryptocurrency world, outside the blockchain world, it's a pretty new concept. If you can explain how it works.
Well, yeah. So basically, for normal centralized exchanges, what you have to do is when you want to trade something, right? You have to deposit your coins or even your stock to some exchange, and then you need to call someone, or you need to go to their website and then make the order, right? Like you want to trade something for some other thing, and then the exchange, they need to accept your order, and then they will need to process everything in the background, and then they will confirm with you later that okay, the trade is done. Here's your tokens, here's your cryptocurrency, here's your stock. So basically, you have to trust the exchange or the guy who processed your order entirely, because he's the only guy that can do everything for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for KyberNetwork, what we do is we run everything on the smart contract. So there's no middleman, there's no third party. So you can see exactly what will happen before you do the trade. So there's no potential fraud, security flaw, and stuff like that. So you are totally safe.
Okay, so to explain it to someone who doesn't understand, it's a smart contract. It's basically a program running on the blockchain that carries the exchange, and it's it's like you can see its code, so you know what's its what it's doing. So it's not a situation where you have to trust a third party, like you would the stock exchange, to carry the trade for you, but it's done automatically by a system.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so how did you did you come up with the need for this exchange? What motivated you to create this platform?
Right. So that cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin, they advocate the decentralized and trustless environment, right? Like it is. So in that environment, you don't have to trust any middleman. You don't have to trust some third party. So you can carry every activity on your own, and you can be sure that there's no potential security flaw. There's no hidden fraud or whatsoever. But still all the trade still happen on the centralized exchanges, right? So you see that more than 99% of the trading volume happens on centralized exchanges like Poloniex, Kraken, and Coinbase, and others. So this is really against the nature of cryptocurrency and decentralized environment, right? And now you see that centralized exchanges they become the holy grail of the cryptocurrency, because the attackers, the hackers, they really want to target these centralized exchanges to find flaw, steal funds from the users, and many of these instances already happened in the past, right? From as early as 2011, and I think every 2 or 3 months we have one security flaw or one hacking incident from centralized exchanges. So yeah, so this really motivates us, and I think many other team as well, to build some secure and usable decentralized exchanges.
Yeah, the hacking is definitely a concern right now with anyone that's holding their funds at an exchange. They're like you said, they're the prime target of hackers in the crypto sphere. So can you tell us about your team? I saw that a lot of you are computer researchers, PhDs. If you can tell us about the team, how you came together.
Right. So our founding team has 3 members, right, including myself. Yaron, he's based in Israel, and Victor, he's based in Hanoi, Vietnam. So for me, I have been doing research on cryptocurrency and blockchain for more than 3 years. I am really interested in building secure and scalable decentralized application. So recently, I think just last year, our group released OINT, which is the first open source smart contract analyzers. So the idea is that you have your smart contract, so you can use OINT to scan your smart contract and see whether it has any security flaws, any vulnerabilities, right? Mm-hmm. And Yaron, he has a PhD in formal method, and he's really famous for winning several prizes in Ethereum bug bounty programs. So now if you go to the bug bounty website of Ethereum Foundation, you can see his name in the top 5 or 6. Yeah, and so together our founding team we have been working on a different project, which is Smart Pool. So Smart Pool is like the decentralized mining pool for cryptocurrencies using smart contract, right? So the idea is that we run the entire pool server inside the smart contract, so that all the miners, they can mine together without trusting any centralized entity like the pool operator. So we have been working together for more than a year, and then 3 or 4 months ago, actually more than 5 months, we came up with the idea of KyberNetwork, and we were really excited and decided to develop it further.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us about the involvement by Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum?
Absolutely, yeah. So I personally interacted with Vitalik since 3 or 4 years ago, because I wrote I think one of the first academic papers about Ethereum, and I reached out to him, and and we keep discussing on several topics since then. And he has been really supportive to whatever project that I do, including the Smart Pool project and OINT, right? So when I discussed with him about KyberNetwork and invited him to be one of our advisors, he's happy to do that. And he's been really helpful in in both technical and non-technical part of it. So he gave us feedback, and anytime we have any question, we just ask him, and he help us immediately. So we are really grateful to have him.
Yeah, that's a great advisor to have. Speaking about Ethereum, recently we've seen ICOs that are either being hacked or really, I would say breaking down Ethereum, like using it as a Kickstarter platform, right? And do you think that smart contracts can help to how to say I mean, they're already run on smart contracts. How can the technology, as a blockchain expert, can help minimize the current problems that we're seeing in the Ethereum?
Sorry, can you
Summarize? Yeah.
Right.
I saw that one of the applications of Kyber is for people to issue coins using it. Correct?
So Kyber is a platform for people to trade coins and tokens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like issuing tokens. Are you talking about Ethereum platform or Kyber?
No, I'm talking about Kyber. There's an option for people to run reserves on them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So if you can explain that, how would that work?
Okay. Oh, okay, sure. So for Kyber, what we do is, so in order to guarantee the liquidity in a decentralized exchange, right? So what we do is we allow people who have a lot of coins or tokens to become something called reserve in our platform. So these people are going to provide the liquidity for the exchange, right? And so they are basically the market makers in our platform. So they can essentially run their own exchange inside KyberNetwork, right, and earn the profit from the spread of every trade, right? So this is interesting because now they can directly process all the trade from the users, and at the same time they can earn profit from the coins that they hold, which otherwise don't make them any profit, right? If they just keep the coins.
So basically, they'll serve as a market maker.
Yeah.
I see. And do you envision that being used as someone who wants to be a broker, or will that be used by somebody that wants to support the liquidity of his own coin?
Yeah, so that is also another vision that we want to do, because for some coins which may be really volatile and no one want to hold it, right? So the coin issuers who potentially have a lot of coins, they can become a reserve in our platform, and be the main market maker for that coin.
Yeah, so in a way, you could use it if you're planning an ICO and you don't have or you don't want to wait for a centralized exchange to add it.
Exactly.
You can use it to essentially become your own exchange for your new token.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see.
Exactly.
And what other ways do you envision the use of the Kyber network? Meaning, once you have a decentralized exchange, what do you think? What applications can be built on that?
Right. So there are several applications that we are trying to build on top of KyberNetwork. So the first one is we can process, we can support something called cross-seed payment, right? So the idea is that now you have some token and you want to pay to someone, but that someone only accept, for example, Ether, right? So what you can do is you can pay your token to KyberNetwork, and we do the conversion in the background, and then forward Ether to the recipient that you need to send, right? So basically you can pay to anyone from any token, right?
So how would that work in a physical sense? Let's say I have a website that sells gaming tokens, right? And I want to receive payments only in like Ethereum,
Right.
and people want to pay in Bitcoin. How would that work? Will I need to have some technical knowledge in order to embed that, or?
So not really, because what we are trying to. So our roadmap will allow you to have some sort of like browser plugin or some sort of API, so that you only need to click send, and you choose the source of the token, or whatever token that you have, and you can select the token that the recipient will receive, right? And then after that you can just click send, and it will the payment will be forwarded to our contract. We will convert it to the recipient token and forward the payment to the recipient.
Mm-hmm.
So everything happens in the background without the knowledge of the user.
So sort of like Shapeshift operates only on a decentralized model.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Decentralized and trustless model.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also faster because we don't need to have this confirmation term and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I saw that one of the topics that you discuss is the difference between trustless and trustless exchanges and the Kyber model. If you can elaborate on that, explain what's the difference.
Right. So trustless here means you can verify whether you get the best counterparty, right? When you trade. So for some exchange, so just take a simple example, right? You have the sell side and you have the buy side, right? So when you want to sell something, normally the exchange will match you with the best counterparty on the other side, right? But you have no idea whether you are matched with the best counterparty or not, right? Because the exchange can do whatever. But with KyberNetwork, everything is on the smart contract, so you can see what is going on, and no one can interfere with the execution of the smart contract. So you will be guaranteed to get the best counterparty for every trade.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking from a point of view of the traditional markets, the exchanges serve as a counterparty also, meaning what happens if the trade fails, right? For example.
Right. Exactly.
So how does that work in a trustless system?
Right. So in Kyber, if any trade fails, the user will get refund, and nothing happens, right?
Mm. I see. Okay. What other subjects do you think that are interested? Like I saw that that you're talking about the possibility of using it as a derivatives platform.
Right. Yeah. So this is something really interesting, because many group and many teams are like trying to build something like decentralized hedge fund, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that they allow people like to contribute their tokens, their coins, to some smart contract, and there's some hedge fund manager who will do all the exchange and to maintain that hedge fund to earn profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, as one of the contributors of the platform of the hedge fund, you will get some sort of like dividend or profit after every quarter or every month.
Mm-hmm.
So with Kyber, what you can do is, so suppose you know that you are going to receive your dividend in like 3 days, and you know that the rate of the token is at best today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can have some sort of forward contract to Kyber to sell your token at today's price, so that you can guarantee your best rate, right?
Mm-hmm. But in order to
yeah, and then Kyber will just interact with the hedge fund contract and to do the settlement later in 3 days.
Okay, but in order to have traditionally, in order to have like a forward contract, you need to have somebody who's serving as a counterparty, meaning somebody has to
Exactly.
Okay. So who? Mm-hmm.
Basically, the reserve, the reserve will be that counterparty, right?
I see. So I see. So it's basically you're not just building an exchange, you're building a model to allow people to serve,
Right.
basically as their own, counterparty and security exchanges and everything with smart contracts.
Yep. I mean, there are like several interesting applications that we can do, and especially because we run everything on chain, so it is really easy to integrate with other platform, other smart contract, right? So yeah, so we are still like trying to explore all the other possible application of KyberNetwork.
Mm-hmm. And at least the reserve part of it sounds a bit like Bancor, which Israeli R&D, right? So
right. So
mm-hmm.
I think the main difference here is that for Bancor, the reserve is basically maintained by by their formula, right? They have some formula to determine the sell and buy price. But for us, the reserve is maintained by human. Like there's some trader or some reserve manager or reserve operators sitting in front of the screen and maintain the reserve. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so what else do you think our audience need to know, or how could they keep following the KyberNetwork?
Right. So we just released our MVP or our demo on our website, so you can just go and go to I think testnet /wallet.kyber.network to try out MVP and see how it works. It is really interesting because now you can do everything really fast, and within a few seconds you can trade and exchange your tokens easily.
What level of technical knowledge do you need to do something like that?
I would say it's not really technical. You only need like to create your. I mean, you go to the website and then you will see what you need to do. So you will need to create an address so that we can send some of the test tokens to you, and then after that you can easily trade and convert everything.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to thank you for taking the time to explain to us the Kyber and your offering, and I want to say thank you to our audience as well for joining us. Please share, like, subscribe, everything that needs to happen in order for you to keep following us. Thank you very much, Louis.
Thanks a lot for having me. Really enjoyed the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.